Real revenue. So it's a topic I am super familiar with. Is getting repeat business and making it work for you. So hopefully you can stop leaving money on the table with your contacting those people in your database. So why is repeat business so important? It really becomes your easiest revenue. And the problem is obviously putting in the work that it does to retain those customers, and even harder when you think about the average mortgage customer who's only going to make a purchase every 5 to 7 years on average, right? So making that stat there of a borrower forgets about you within 13 months will sting just a little bit. So because they're forgetting you a whole 4 to 6 years before they're going to need you again. But there's ways to prevent that, right? And the good news is most of them want to work with you again. 82% say they want to. The bad part is they just haven't heard from you in a while or heard from you at the right time, right? Everybody's got that time to buy and trying to stay in touch and in front of people so that way you hit them when they're ready to do that purchase is always the tricky part. But as long as you're consistent and do reach out to them and stay in front of them, that's perfect, right? It's always hard to go sifting through. So if you said, "Oh, I followed up with them, just a few months ago," or a few months after the closing, it's really hard to go sifting through that email inbox full of all the stuff you get, looking for your loan officer's name from 7 years ago. What you're going to do is you're just going to go, just go to Google. They were great and everything, but I just need somebody now. I'm just going to go Google somebody, right? So you want to stay in front of them consistently so they don't have to go digging for that information, right? I'll insert a quick little story here about my personal experience. So I closed a loan, 16 years ago on my second house. I'm on to my third, but second house. And did a great job. The loan officer was amazing. She really helped me work on that. Plus had some questions about another property. So she was really, really helpful. Loved her. Come 8 years later, still in my home, but I get a job at a mortgage company, right? I'm there the first week and I'm going, God, this person's name sounds really familiar. I swear I know them from somewhere. And I kept thinking, gosh, where do I know them from? I don't know how I would know somebody like this. Like, turns out they were my loan officer, right? So I didn't remember them. 8 years later, I honestly did not remember them. It took me working for the company to remember them. And even when I applied for the job at my company, the name of the company didn't even sound familiar, right? It wasn't like, oh my God, I used that company for my loan so many years ago, right? Because they went silent on me. Needless to say, that's where I say I'm very aware of this situation because I tried to help fix that situation so it wouldn't happen to others. So it definitely becomes super important. And that's why this little stat here, 14% is all the repeat business that independent loan officers get. And it's because of that the branding piece of it too, right? Like that name recognition, the name memory. The big box companies, we all know them. We've all seen them. They have the spend. They have that stuff to stay out there and relevant in the communities. But we're going to give you some tips and tricks to stay relevant yourself, right? So staying top of mind with your past clients is just overall good business, right? As I talked about, brand identity. It's great to foster that brand identity, making sure people remember you. If they see that name, see that face again, they won't be like, where do I know them from? They'll know exactly where they know you from, right? So think about it a little bit about, I'm just going to put this in context of a big brand name that we know that's not mortgage related, so it takes it out of any competition stuff, but think Apple, right? You bought one phone from them. Okay, it was great. It was a great phone. I'm going to buy the next one because I'm getting a whole bunch of ads or I'm getting the free upgrade, whatever. So I'm going to buy the next one. And before you know it, you can't even fathom switching to anything else, especially, Android. Heaven forbid. You've become loyal to Apple. And it's just because they kept staying in front of you. They kept pushing their next product. They kept saying, hey, trade yours in for my brand, right? They created a brand identity that you can't live without, right? And so once you kind of hit that second purchase, right, it becomes, you're kind of like, oh, I'm a little stuck to this person. I know what service I'm going to get. I know what to expect, right? It's there for you. So Again, a diehard Apple users, right, know that you're also constantly telling us, especially if you've, on your second or third Apple phone. I'm an Android user and I get it every day, right? About Apple users telling me, switch, just make the switch, come over. Like, stop making my bubbles different. Stop ruining the group chats. Come on, switch over to Apple, right? Imagine people doing that for you and your company. Come on, switch to my loan officer. I'm telling you, it gives the best business. Come on, right? That's what you're searching for. Yes, it's going to take a little longer because, again, the time frame is a little different in purchases, but at the same time, that's what you're going for. That's the goal. Because honestly, those, loyal clients, those loyal realtors, they're your marketing engine, right? Again, the same thing happens for a realtor. If you've given them great service over and over again for their clients, they're going to be like, hey, I have a loan officer for their next client, right? And same with you when you're going to refer them, you're going to only refer the realtors that have been giving you good service. So it becomes a true marketing engine at that point, right? Good service can happen great once on a fluke. Great service two times over means that you're probably a good person, right? And you can be trusted to be a referral. I always say that referrals are very scary. Everybody thinks that you're just, oh, I gave you good business. Will you refer me to a client? That referral is very personal, right? People get scared that, oh my God, I'm going to refer this person and they're going to do a horrible job. Like, I mean, they did a good job for me, but I'm not sure how they're going to do for them, right? So it's like, I'm a little nervous. After you've done a couple transactions with somebody, they're going to be like, oh no, this person's great. They've done, I mean, everything for me. I've had my same realtor for all three homes, and I refer her all the time because she's done an amazing job all three homes. So I know that I am 100% feel like I can give her name and information out, right? So honestly, those customers, those realtors, they really become a piece of your marketing, and that can take place. A lot of that marketing that happens between a client and realtor and those kind of things really happen in a community setting, a social setting. And so social media is a big place for that to happen. That's a whole nother class that we can get into someday, but utilize them for that purpose. And the best way to obviously do that is you have to stay in contact with them and you have to get them to that point, right? So another thing about repeat customers is they cost way less, way less than going out there and scrounging for new leads, right? On average, 5 to 7 times less. So if you're out there buying leads, I mean, on if you're working with a realtor buying Zillow or realtor leads, or you're working on your own Google ads or Facebook ads, anything like that, it's on average. This is a complete average. Everybody's spend is a little different, but $250 to $500 per lead that turns into a funded loan. Now, that's not bad overall, but think about a current customer that you're not spending that much on, repeating, a repeat customer costing $25 or less. I mean, it's a big difference. But I know some of you are out there probably saying, well, I don't really pay for those kind of leads. I get my leads from my realtor partners or things like that. One, nowadays it's getting a little harder to get realtors in the door and to start to get those referrals from them. A lot of you are in a position that you want to start referring people out to your realtors. So wouldn't it be great if your repeat customer came back and said, "Oh, I hated my realtor," or I don't even remember who they were because they're not staying in touch with them. So you either know who their realtor was because you have it from a past transaction. Wouldn't it be great for you to give that back to them and say, "Hey, Sally sent me a message. She's ready for her next deal. She couldn't remember your name. I got her in touch. I'm getting you guys in touch. Here you go." How great would that look for you? Right? All because you were the one staying in touch with them. So, but all those little things that you do with those realtors does cost money still. Co-branding flyers, hosting those events, that all adds up, right? So honestly, when you ultimately look at the total cost of it, $25 on average to get a repeat customer in the door, still a lot cheaper. Again, it always makes sure, depends on the tactics you're using to get those repeat customers in. There's a lot of different ones. Let's actually walk through a couple of options you have here. So how do you get some of that repeat business, right? Well, you can give them something of value. Everybody wants that thing, right? They want to feel special for coming back. They want to feel remembered and that you're giving them a little something extra because they're returning. Obviously, harder in the loan world, but think about it. Think about sending an email and saying, hey, um, use me for your next loan, and I'm going to give you a free appraisal, a $500 lender credit, whatever you and your company allows, right? Just makes them feel a little special that they got a little something. Um, Obviously, you also want to make the relationship personal, so everybody nowadays, right? It's about me, make me feel special. But it's true. Like, think about sending birthday cards or loan anniversary emails. If you make it about them and turn it around and say, I'm not reaching out because of me, I'm reaching out because of you, that makes them feel very special. At my old company, our birthday emails were one of the most opened emails in our platform because everybody's like, oh, it is my birthday. And you remembered. Thank you. Right? It makes them feel special. Another thing you can do is offer after sales support. So, obviously, a home is one of their biggest purchases of their lives. You can be there to help them navigate the whole process, not just once the loan closes and you say, thank you so much, see you later. You want to work together, probably with your realtor. I mean, this is a great thing to do is work together and provide information on the next steps, like the moving process, how to work with a home warranty company, how tax benefits, right? Just anything to keep that conversation going, but providing them something, some information to them, right? Obviously, sometimes those come in the way of newsletters or loan anniversary updates like, hey, so it's been a year. Have you done this, this, and this? Do you remember to, yeah, clean the dryer vent today? Because obviously, who does unless they see a news article about somebody's dryer catching on fire? And they're like, oh, I got to probably clean mine out. Right? So you're there to help keep that conversation going after that sale. And yes, your process is longer and it's, 5 to 7 years worth of keeping that conversation going. But it does help in the long run. Right? Also, make yourself visible. This is sometimes uncomfortable. Uh, yes, we are. I saw that question come up with Arrive, and we are. So, um, make sure that you are visible. And it's nothing just like it could be your headshot out there all over the place. That's fine. But you have to be top of mind. I mean, I can do a whole presentation, like I said, on what we call Magic of Seven, about a little bit about branding, because it's true that people need to see you 7 times before they will buy from you. And I say you, they need to see you because they need to see the brand, and you are your brand, right? So obviously, in the grand scheme of things, email and social are the easy, cheap wins in this area, to get your face out there multiple times and hit that 7 times for the next time, right? But obviously, I know it's always sometimes uncomfortable to get on social and do things and get out there, but those are their 2 easy, cheap wins. So try to utilize them to get yourself remembered. And also ask for feedback. Hopefully everybody's kind of doing this in some way, shape, or form. It helps to improve not only your service and make sure you're providing everything your clients are expecting, but also if they're doing these reviews out there on like a Google, I always recommend Google My Business and review platforms because it does help that visual grow, right? And so plus if the reviewer writes down their experience with you, it's kind of that pen to brain mentality, right? Like it's a little stuck in their memory a little bit more. So asking them and getting them to write that review helps not only you, but hopefully helps them, helps you stick in their brain just a little bit longer as well. So always ask for reviews. Don't feel, like it's awkward to say it or anything like that. Just say, hey, I'm trying to better my service. I'm trying to get my online presence. Everybody knows now that that's what you got to do. So would you mind filling it out? And make it really easy for them. Offer them the link directly. Don't say, hey, just go to Google and find me, things like that. Honestly, it really just comes down to staying in touch, right? You have to do it. And I know what you're all saying right now is, but who has time? How do you make the time to do all this, right? So I'm going to introduce you to Morgan. She has the same problem, right? She's a loan officer, similar to many of you. She has many years experience. She's a busy loan officer, crunching numbers for her clients all day. So she's thinking, I don't, I have to send these emails to all these clients. I have a database full of clients. I can't email all of them individually, or even, I just don't even know where to start. But she knows she needs to. So she's tried, right? She's taken marketing classes. She knows that people needs to see her smiling face, that 7 times. So she knows, but she's like, how? I don't know. I just can't keep up. She knows the ultimate solution is automation. The problem with that is she's tried, right? She's tried those very mortgage specific CRMs. And trust me, I know as much as Morgan knows that those systems are made for marketers. At my old company, I was the director of marketing for a mortgage banker. I had a dedicated staff member just to handle our system, right? It really is a full-time job. So she says, I can't handle that. Like, that's not working for me. I'm just going to go to one of these other systems, these easier to use, mass market, like, here you go. But the problem is she now has to write all her content. She can't, okay, so I know how to use the system, but I have to write all this, my own content. So I'm back at square one. And that is ultimately 100% why we decided to build a Duvo, right? It is truly here for the Morgans of the mortgage industry. So we're here to help you stay relevant, and we're here to do that with a hands-free approach, right? In our system, we have over 86 emails. And I know because I've recently started and I went and counted them all in our system. Not that every email is used all the time, but we have options for you, right? And my job here is to keep this content growing. So that way we do have content that's specific maybe for you, or that will fit your needs and your niche that you're in, right? All of our emails are compliant. I having come from a previous mortgage company who is very, very strict, I am very aware of the compliance piece of all this. So we have companies that we work with to just double check. So all of it is up to date, compliant, relevant to our current market. So you guys can trust the content that we have in the system. And like somebody asked, we integrate with the majority of the LOS systems out there. And we're always continuing to look to add new systems and things like that. So we really do try to make this easy for you. So what does this mean for you? We have the data to reach your past clients with that personalized information, right? Birthdays, loan anniversaries. Even on some of your current loans, we have loan status, right? Because we have that information from your LOS, right? And we even have things at the end of your transaction, things like that, asking for feedback, or what I call an EPO protection email, where it's kind of 4 months after, we're just kind of hitting them, making sure they're not going to go try to refinance right before they're 6 months, right? So we have the content in there. All you have to do is get in, rapid setup, 20-minute meeting, a process designed to meet your needs, right? Which we know are, yes, I believe we do integrate with LendingPad. Matthew, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I do believe we integrate with LendingPad. So you jump on a call. It's 15 to 20 minutes, and basically we get your LOS system connected, right? You select the campaigns that you want to go out, and then set them, and you basically say goodbye and you can walk away. Right? So we have like I said, we have the 86 emails. We always try to set you up on what our recommended is, which is, we have a 25 touch points that we at least recommend. And some of our 86 content are very specific to groups, like maybe a future group, a lead group, or, a very niche market of credit and improvement people, or things like that. So we do have some niche emails in our system. On average, we have 25 touch points that hit the masses every year. And so those things can be for your clients, like I said, past, present, future, birthday, Newsletters. Again, this newsletter, I know a lot of people, I get tired of newsletters and I write them. But we try to make them engaging. We try to include some videos in them to make sure that they're giving people some content in more the platforms that they want. And again, it's giving them those things of value and keeping that sales process going for the duration of their however long it's going to take them 5, 7, 8, 10, 15 years. We're going to keep them on that newsletter and giving them tips and tricks about, what's hot in the current market, what, even travel tips or holiday tips, whatever it might be, because we're giving them a little tip of value. And we try not to make them super long, super boring. They're just tidbits. And again, your information at the bottom, so you stay in touch with them. Again, loan application received, all these loan status emails. We have plenty of these in our platform to go out. And they also include text options as well. Of course, the text options are if somebody opts in, we do comply with all texting rules. So your client does have to be opted in to receive these texts. And your realtors also are part of these communication process because like we said, it's also just as important to stay in front of your realtors as it is your clients. So they will get these text and emails as well. And they also have a special dedicated newsletter just for them that gives them more business tips and meets them where they are at. So it really is a ton of content in here for you to choose from. We always will set you up with these major ones, the major holidays, loan anniversaries, those kind of things we'll set you up with. But then obviously, like I said, we will always be coming out with new stuff and there's always stuff to choose from for your niche clients. And you can always request new stuff or you can always write your own as well. Now, like I said, you can do that. You can hang up that phone and you never have to log into the system ever again. That was our goal, right? So our goal was to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to send you an email, right? After a major email sent. We're not going to do it after every loan status because we don't want to bog your email down more. But we will send you a report after, so say a holiday email, 4th of July just happened. So we can send you a report that says, hey, your 4th of July email went out. It went to 300 people, 246 got delivered, obviously. Maybe we have some bad email addresses. What do we need to do? And 21% of them were open. Oh my gosh, that's great because 21% is a good open rate for emails. So it kind of gives you an idea that a DUFO is working in that background for you. So, but obviously, if you want more information, you want to search it out on your own time, you can always log in and go to our simple little dashboard right here. Again, you'll find all your contacts, your number of realtors, all that. You also will find your upcoming birthdays and upcoming loan anniversaries. From a perspective, a little bit of a sales perspective is I always look at these as great call lists, right? If you're kind of like, who should I call? I don't even know where to start with who to call. Birthdays, a follow-up phone call for, to say happy birthday along with, or a follow-up text to say happy birthday to follow that email up is just another one of those 7 touches, right? So a great reason to reach out. Your upcoming loan anniversaries, again, another great reason to reach out. And then if you even dive into, you can see the individual stats for every email that has been sent. So you can see how many it was sent to, how many opened, and you can see how many clicked it. And then if you click into this report, you can see who clicked it, right? And that is a huge call list right there because they took the time to open your email, read it, found something interesting enough that they clicked on it. That person is engaged. So I always say that that's a great person to reach out to and connect with and say, of course, don't be creepy. Don't be like, hey, I saw you open my email and clicked on this article. But just say, hey, I hope you got my email. Just wanted to see if you had any questions. Hope you're doing well. Talk to you later. Right? Simple as that. But again, it makes that call list easy for you, right? Because you don't have to sit there and go, oh, who do I call today? Right? And I won't jump too far into it, but you can look at everything from that's happened with your client list. You can sort your client list by rate and call those people. So why don't I stop there before I give too much away. And I'll just go ahead and turn this over to Matthew and let him jump in and show you around the product, because that might be better than me sitting here telling you all about the about inside. So, Matthew, would you like to take it away?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Matt. I will be going over the demonstration of Aduvo. Give me one moment while I share my screen. Oh, I think I shared the wrong one. Here we go. Okay. Can you see my screen all right, Lindsay?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So now that you've heard about Aduvo from Lindsay, I'll just be going over the site and how to build some optional custom content in case any of you are interested in that. This demonstration will kind of touch over all of the major screens in the site. There's not many, not much needed for you to operate in here. So I'll just kind of quickly glance at a couple things here. I'm going to go to the dashboard, just kind of give you an idea what this looks like. You can always come in here if you're just interested in seeing how your database is looking or how things recently have sent out to your customers. It gives you a quick glance at what's happening here. You can go backward and forward in time pretty easily. You can see how many have been sent. For example, this is all test site data, so some of this won't be as accurate as it would be on your site. It's mostly just test information, but you'll see just gives you a quick glance at how things have been performing. There's a little see full report button here that will just take you down to another screen that shows you all the metrics, who opened it, can show you the individual recipient email addresses and so on. So it just gives you more information on how it's been performing. Anything scheduled in your site would appear here. And then we also have a little section down here for top performing campaigns, just so you can take a look back to see how things have performed. Maybe you want to touch up on something, resend something, whatever the scenario is. And of course, some recommended campaigns if you don't have them turned on. Some other things in here are the navigations here. You'll see up here, you have this drop down for marketing. This is where you'll be creating, editing, and managing your campaigns and emails as you go. All of that content is just in here under these little subcategories. So in reality, you probably only need to use 2 or 3 of these, or maybe even just one, depending on what your use case for Aduvo is. People and loans, this is where you can create new lists, look at contact information on loans integrated from your LOS, and you can also create filters based off of that information to create new lists in the site, which we'll go over here shortly, just to give an example of it. Under your initials here, you have your user profile and your company profile, depending on type of user you are in here, just for managing who's set up in the website. And then, of course, the dashboard down here. So let's go ahead and jump into the marketing piece really quick. We'll just go into Aduvo Quick Start here. And I'm just going to show you as an example, if you were setting up and you're mostly using Aduvo as a set it and forget it style platform, there's really not much for you to do. Once the data is synced, all you'd have to do is come in here, find the content you want to enable. So you can come in here, say this birthday email, and hit preview on it. It'll show you the settings over here on the left. So it's set to BCC, the loan officer. You can change any of these settings as well. This is just the default format. And then it just has a quick little birthday email and so on. So pretty easy to check. And then if you were satisfied with that email, all you'd have to do is just toggle this button on. Yes, I want to activate. And there you go. It's going to look at all of the birthdays that have been synced up from your LOS and send out whenever someone's birthday comes up. We have a lot of content in here. As Lindsay mentioned, we have different versions of content as well. So we have a borrower newsletter that includes the standard with images and all the extra formatting. And then we also have an alternative version where it's just essentially plain text, right? It looks like you send something directly to them rather than going out of your way to put images in it. So it just feels a little bit more personable. So multiple versions of everything in here, different versions of holidays, different versions of birthdays, and so on. That lets you decide what you want to send out. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into creating content, because if you're just going to use Aduvo for the set it and forget it, that's basically it. You just find what's in here, enable it, you're good to go. So for creating content, usually what I like to do is I create the email first. This is also inside of a Duo, just called a template. And you just click create new template there. And then it would just ask you to fill out some information here, like the name, subject line, and a little description for yourself so that when you're returning in the future, you know what it is. I already created a little one here, so we'll just go to my content, click into my little webinar template, and you'll see it's the same page, it's just filled out. Click next content. And here is our template editor. So if you wanted to make your template, or you can also edit any of our existing templates, you can do that as well. So this is just what it'll look like. If you notice as I move around my mouse, there's these little square blocks that pop up. These are just called structures. And I like to think of this as building blocks. Very easy. You come over here to this left-hand side where you see content. Let's say we want to put an image on here. You just click it, drag it over top of your template, let go. It adds a little block here for an image. You then click on it, and it will give you a list of any of our images in the site, which you're free to use. Or you can also upload your own image to it. So let's just do, this one looks good. There's the image, and you'll notice we have some settings on the left-hand side. So if you want to shrink it or make it bigger, you can do that. You can even put it to the left or right side if you have multiple images in one area. So a lot of options you can do here on the left-hand side. We'll go ahead and add some other things here just for an example. Say, let's add a button here. You can add like a button maybe to a calculator or a application page, whatever you want to do. You just give it a link here, duo.com. Just apply here. Just as an example, doesn't need to be perfect for this, but you have a bunch of options here. Again, if you want to change the color around, you can do that. Let's just make that black with white text or something. There we go. And then we also include merge tags that you can use. This just makes it easier for you if you have multiple loan officers as well, so you don't have to make a template for each person. This will just, whenever it goes to send out a message, it'll identify who that loan officer is sending to. It'll pull their name into the template automatically. And then if you're using loan or merge tags for the recipient as well, I'll throw one up here just as an example. You can just do contact first name. And what this will do is it'll just identify the recipient email address, pull their first name into the email for you automatically. And that way, if you're sending it out to 50 or 100 people, each one of those people will get a message that's personalized to them. So let's go ahead and say this is good to go. Pretty straightforward in here. We'll just hit save up here at the top right. There we go. And usually my workflow is I go campaign next. But because we are doing I wanted to show off the filter and how to create a list in the site, I'll just go to people and loans and all contacts. And this is all LOS data. This is syncing up for our little test point client. So some of this data probably looks fake, which it is. So if you come in here, you actually have the ability to filter by specific data from the LOS files. So if you go to, let's just say, let's start with note rate. So this will put a filter for the note rate, and we're just going to do is greater than or equal to 6%. Just as an example. And you'll see it filtered out a bunch of those people that were in here already. And this is only showing recipients that have a 6% or greater note rate. And you'll see we have a 231 results down here. You can continue to add filters if you want to narrow down your lists, just to narrow down your target audience a little bit more. Let's just add loan status to the filter here. Let's do closed date is greater than or equal to, and we'll just go back a couple years. Let's try this. February 2023. And you'll see that I'll apply another filter on top of the note rate filter we added. And you'll see we're down to 69 results instead of the 221, or I think that was what we're at. So this is narrowed down the list further. And let's say this is good to go and you just want to market to these recipients. All you have to do is come up here and hit save. It's going to ask you to give it a list name. Let's just do greater than 6% note rate. Click save. Going to save there. And then in this little function, you can come up here and create campaign this way. But you can also just click send a campaign here and it'll pre-populate the list for you. You don't have to mess with those settings. So we'll just do that. Webinar campaign. Most of this information is optional. For example, the category. This is, again, mostly just for you to know what it is in the future. If you come back to it a year later, and maybe you want to rework it, this just gives you an idea of what it is. Some additional options here. If you have multiple loan officers under your tenant, you can select who can use this campaign. So let's say, for example, in this scenario that it's at right now, it would work for all of your loan officers that are enabled in Eduvo. You have the option to come in here and maybe just toggle on yourself or 2 specific loan officers to send out from. You have this one right here is a little bit odd. It's going to come from, if it's coming from your LOS, from LOS information, generally I like to use the role from loan officer, but contact owner also works for most kind of general marketing content. It's just the way we separate out the ownership on the contact. So most of the time, it won't even be relevant to you on that point. So we'll just go forward. Here, you can see it actually has that greater than 6% note rate campaign that we created. There it is. So you would have the option to toggle this on any of your campaigns. It's just always going to be in your list of lists now. But just because we click that send a campaign button, it kind of auto-populates for you. Under that, 2 recipients, this is just a way to select the type of contacts within that list. As it is, we didn't create any filters to exclude agents. So the agents are included on this list, but this just lets you narrow it down. Maybe you only want the borrowers and co-borrowers to receive it, but you can also toggle on agents if you like as well, or vice versa. Maybe you just want to send to your agents. Okay. Some other options here, you can just set yourself as or the loan officer as a 2 recipient. You can give yourself a custom address, and you also have standard CC and BCC options here. So I'll just skip forward. Here, it's going to ask us to just grab the template we created. I'm just going to put a search in here for webinar. I'm going to hit add to campaign. Click next. At this point, it would ask you to schedule the message. Generally, if I'm setting one up from scratch, I'll do this. Because it's just on the path to setting it up automatically. So I'll come in here. We do have a lot of options here. We have status quick pick. So if you had a message you were trying to send out that was triggered from your LOS. So for example, maybe you wanted to set a clear to close date and send an automated email. You set that clear to close date in the file in your LOS. Eduvo would read the update, see that you added that clear to close date, and then send out this message to that recipient or any of the contacts on that file. We do have a lot of these as well. So most dates that could be filled out in your platform are in here. Holiday quick pick, this one's pretty self-explanatory. It's just you choose a random holiday. Custom date, also self-explanatory. It just gives you a calendar. Choose a day on the calendar, choose a time. That's when it's going to go out. We also have repeating messages. These are handy if you ever set up your own, if you want to set up your own custom newsletter. We do have one that's built in the site that will go out on a monthly basis if you enable it. But if you wanted to use your own, this is also an option. You'll see here, let's just use an example of a newsletter. And let's say we wanted to send on the 2nd Wednesday of every month. So this will start this month, and then you can also give it an ending date. All right, maybe you don't want to keep sending these past, the end of the year. So if we set the schedule, it would work from today to the end of December, where every month on the 2nd Wednesday, it would automatically send this message out. So just gives you a lot of options with whatever you want to do in here with your schedules. So we'll just go ahead and hit save. Click next. And then at this point, it would just ask you to activate, and then you wouldn't have to touch this campaign again. I'm just going to click continue editing. I don't want to send anything out to our little test emails here. So this is the endpoint. If you had activated, you wouldn't have to touch anything here. You could come back in here to check metrics if you want to, and I'll just quickly show you after this how to get back to this little page. But you can edit any of the settings we just went over. Come here, you see this little purple pencil icon. You click on that. Same settings. Maybe you wanted to change the loan officer. Maybe you wanted to add the agents or the borrowers to it. Click save, and you see that it changed over here. So very easy to edit after you've already set everything up. You can always change things around. You can even edit the template from here if you want to with this edit message button. So if you noticed maybe a typo or something like that, you can just come in here, click edit message, fix your typo, and reset it to go out. Some options in here is report. You'll notice this is just a quick glance of metrics. It'll show you how many have been sent, delivered, who opened it, who clicked on it, and then any, if someone didn't open or if it got bounced for whatever reason, it will actually tell you why it got bounced. Message log up here next to report. This is just a send feed is how I like to think of it. It just shows you everything that was sent to the recipients. It'll have their name, their email address, and it'll show you the type of activity they did to that message. So if they opened it, it'll come up as opened. If they clicked it, you can see if they clicked it. So it just gives you more information on who's been interacting with it. You can also export this information or even save it as a list if you want to send another targeted message to the people that showed interest in your email. So I'll go back, and I just mentioned I would show you how to get back here. Let's say you came into the site, click My Content, and this is where all of your content will be. You'll see that this is the webinar campaign we created right there. You just hover over it, edit. So it's all in this one section. If you created it, it'll just show up on your content. All right, that just about concludes the demonstration. I do see that there's some messages that have been coming through, and I will do my best to cover all of them. And I'm passing back to Lindsay.
Okay, thank you so much, Matthew. I think I tried to get most of them. I think there was definitely one that I needed to defer to you on. So, but other than that, everyone, I just wanted to kind of close out with sharing that now Morgan's unlocked the power of her database, right? She connected it to Duvo. It's sending out emails automatically for her. But if she needs to, she has some niche issues. She's learned how to jump in and send one of her own. But as I know, somebody asked in the chat and I answered, but just so you guys all know, you do always have access to Matthew and I, right? We are here to support you. So we can help you get that up and running. Matthew can help with the technical side. If you have specific content needs, I'm here to help you guys write that and get that launched. So really, our goal was, as I mentioned, to cut the fluff, get you straight to getting that repeat business. So hopefully we can do that for you. So really the next step is to being unforgettable and get repeat business is to start your free trial. If you obviously want to dive in a little bit more, we do have options to do a full demo for you where we go over and you can kind of see all that we did a little bit more in the process. But honestly, you've seen a lot of it, so maybe you want to just dive in and start. So we are offering, usually we do a 14-day free trial. I think, Matthew, we'll go ahead and extend that to 30 days. So if you want to try it out, basically you click on this link or down with a QR code and we'll get you started. But is texting available? Yes, texting is available, but we do follow all compliance on texting. And obviously texting is very strict. So we do have to send the opt-in text before we can officially be texting in there. So right now we do send that out. And the main area we use texting is for those loan status updates, because it is definitely an area where most people will say yes to that opt-in. just because they're in transaction and they want to know the information. So it's usually where we can get that opt-in easiest is in that process. So as soon as we can send that out and get that, then they're opted in, and then yes, we can do text. And then we're starting to incorporate more videos in the emails that I create, but also there we do have the ability to add videos into the emails as well. Texting is a little different. I'm not actually a big fan, I will say, of adding videos in your text because people are a little leery of clicking on links in text. So depends there, but obviously, definitely working. If you want to work with us on a specific idea and plan, we're happy to do that and see if that works for you and your clients. So. Um, Matthew might be able to answer the how many users do we have now better than me, but I do know that we've hit the ground running a little about a year and a half ago, and I just came on board 2 months ago. So super excited to be here because I see all the potential coming from the mortgage side and having run a big platform for loan officers. I see how important it is to have a platform that works for those individual loan officers that don't have that marketing team behind them. So that's why I joined, is to really help more loan officers than I was before. So excited to be here. And yeah, hopefully I get to work with some of you guys in the future. But be on the lookout. My other big passion is to do educational classes like this. So I will be doing some more. So maybe my Magic of Seven class will be coming next. So hopefully maybe I'll see some of you guys on there. But if there's any other questions, feel free to keep dropping them in the chat. I'll stay for a couple extra minutes. But other than that, hopefully I'll see you guys around. Good luck and have a wonderful day.